So, hi, my name is Chris MacDonald. I'm a technical account manager here at Powerland, and I'll be your host for this podcast. Today, we'll be discussing Simplivity. And in the current IT climate, digital transformation is top of mind and has never been so important for Canadian organizations. The single biggest factor as a trigger to the move to the cloud is the increasing business demand for agility and speed. And COVID-19 has accelerated that need for Canadian businesses to adopt flexible, secure, game-changing solutions. Bringing cloud agility and scalability to the enterprise data center, HPE Simplivity can reduce costs. In today's podcast, Garth and Mark will be discussing how Simplivity's hyper-converged architecture has evolved beyond software-defined to AI-driven and delivers self-managing, self-optimizing, and self-healing infrastructure. Along with adding the machine learning predictive analytics of HPE InfoSight on HPE's Simplivity hyperconverged platform, HPE has ushered in a new era of intelligent HCI. So let's jump right in. Garth, in today's climate, our clients are seeing the need for agility in the performance of having the right data in the right place at the right time, along with the agility and control of financial cost savings. In this time of transition to the cloud, how can Simplivity help set the stage for financial savings and scalability?
Great. Well, thanks, Chris. Certainly, the Simplivity platform is really designed, engineered from the ground up to really consolidate, simplify, and from an operations management perspective, all of the processes and procedures that are used to drive and manage and deliver and have oversight on the workload sitting inside Simplivity, it's really been engineered from the bottom up to be very simple. There's very few steps involved in any aspect of the ownership experience here. It tucks up underneath your, essentially your existing control plane. So for example, from a VMware perspective, you've really got a mechanism to drive and manage and operate all that virtualization and container workload within the organization in a very simplified manner. And that's a very key goal when trying to achieve that agility and trying to achieve that speed. You essentially have a cloud-like type of approach to how you manage those assets and how you manage that workload. So Simplivity really is driving that simplification. So, and for Canadian organizations, it's really key. You don't have a huge number of resources necessarily to draw on, and a very optimized way of owning and operating and the care and feeding associated with the infrastructure is key. So that's really a core tenet of Simplivity, and we'll get into some of the details. But yeah, great question to start things off. Thanks, Chris.
Great. Mark, did you have anything you might like to add to that?
Yeah, Chris, and Garth hit the nail on the head. We hear the same themes repeated across many of our clients. So all having trouble finding and keeping technical experts, and they're relying more and more on consultants. They have trouble finding room in the budget for training if the organizations are becoming more and more reliant on technology. So something's got to give there. They're looking for more ways to automate tasks that cause their staff to have to work less, evenings and weekends, and they need to do these things right now to keep up with supporting their current IT infrastructures. And they're not always confident in things like backup. They don't have time to test their DR plans, and they're all worried about security. And these are all challenges that organizations are facing. Powerland is blessed. We're armed with the expertise and the products to help our clients navigate these issues, and HPE, with their many partnerships, make this navigation much less risky for many of our clients. And several of them have had success solving many of these issues, just by starting their infrastructure with HPE Simplivity. InfoSight with Simplivity drastically reduces the management burden, and this makes more time for staff to work on things that move the business forward, driving innovation. And we see it in the stats, 91% more time for innovation with Simplivity. That's a huge number, but when customers really drill down into how they operate their environments and how they run their business, they can see these sorts of results, and it really becomes meaningful.
Great, thank you. Yeah, with the change in the IT climate these days, we're seeing a lot of cyber attacks happening, and customers are looking for new and interesting ways to be able to protect their data. And so data protection is very important in this era, and keeping our clients' data accurate, safe, and secure is top of every executive's mind. So, Mark, how can HPE Simplivity ensure that as a business owner, I can ensure that my organization is safe?
Right. Data really is the most important commodity most organizations have. Ask an organization that's had a ransomware attack how well their business functioned after they were hit. We hear daily about businesses being hit. I think the stat is over 4,000 attacks per day on average over the past 5 years, and that number's going up. Organizations are thriving if they are making good use of their data. So you don't really have to convince organizations of the value of that data, because it helps them, make real-time business decisions that help them differentiate themselves in the marketplace. They can't afford to be down and not have access to their data, even for a day, let alone weeks or months. Now, Simplivity is uniquely positioned to help with this. It's a mutable file system underneath the covers. You've got backups are hidden from the attackers. They're abstracted in the file system. This makes recovery from ransomware a great use case for why customers should look to Simplivity. DR in Simplivity is also much simpler to achieve. You don't need a DR specialist, specially trained on your staff. We've heard from a Simplivity client just last week who was hit with a ransomware attack, and they were fully recovered, within an hour, which is incredible, because I've seen other clients where it's taken them 6 months to get back to where they were when they started, if they can get back, because most of them lose some data somewhere. Another point, I guess, around data protection. I have a customer who wanted to purchase Simplivity, but ended up with another platform through an RFP process, and we won't get into that and why that's lots of fun. But what they failed to account for in their final, evaluation of their initial purchase for the core data center infrastructure was a future second phase where they were going to have infrastructure at 60 other locations. So it was smaller footprints at these other locations, but because they didn't go with Simplivity, they couldn't use the platform that they bought to economically roll out the same platform to all these 60 smaller sites. So what that means now is they've got 2 different environments to manage. They've got 2 hypervisors to manage, 2 backup solutions to manage. If they had gone with Simplivity, they simply could have added, all the compute at all these sites to the main cluster, and they would have realized not only data duplication savings, but much simpler management.
Yeah, that's true. Simplivity is a powerful platform. Garth, did you have anything you might want to add on that topic?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Mark's kind of layered down on top of our kickoff message a bunch of stuff that's really critical there. I would consider the opportunity to create a hybrid environment, focus on the rapid DR capabilities of Simplivity. That immutable file system is really a function of everything in Simplivity driven into a hardware type format, which means it's not software defined. It's really got a strong lock on the actual data sitting in the storage plane. That's really key. The ability to drive out a high availability solution with a 2-node configuration is also key. But I'd really say we've got the container storage interface, or CSI drivers, for Simplivity is key. And the reason for that is customers looking at this platform and saying, well, that's great for virtualization, but my business is talking about their developers, and they're creating cloud native capabilities using CNCF practices, or the Cloud Native Compute Foundation capabilities, all that kind of new application stuff is coming out. And so it's important that our customers understand that we are Kubernetes compatible with this. The CSI driver enables that. And so we could take on those new additional next generation workloads as well into the Simplivity layer. And it really just adds more and more value on top of that, Chris. So I would say the InfoSight piece, I'd really amplify that. Quite frankly, that InfoSight with over 10 years now of human-guided machine learning capabilities integrated into the platform really makes that ownership reduce the risk by really providing a lot of insight into what's going on in the infrastructure. The Gen 10 security layer sitting inside that ProLiant platform as well, which is what Simplivity is sitting on. So we just keep going through that Simplivity understandings and really identify that there's a whole lot of stuff in there. It's really got some incredible value. If you wanted to integrate this back into Zerto, Veeam, organizations like that, from a backup into the HPE Cloud Volumes, into the HPE Store Once integration. So the whole ecosystem, when you put it all together, Simplivity's got a tremendous wrapping around it in terms of value. So it really identifies this specific requirement from a hyper-converged infrastructure perspective, but we've, HPE's jammed a lot of capabilities in there. At Powerland, we've got a deep understanding of Simplivity, lots of installed base, and lots of experience in working with that platform. So I'd like our customers to be comfortable in knowing that you're in the right hands when it comes to this type of infrastructure, for sure.
Yeah, and that's a great segue into our next question, which is, a lot of our customers will ask, well, how difficult is this solution to manage long term, right? In solution management, it can be challenging, and an extensive requiring extensive training to go along with these various platforms that we're buying. So when it comes to the management platform, tell us a little bit about how that works with Simplivity, Garth, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. Okay, Chris. So what we do then is you're taking the Simplivity operations management and tucking it up underneath, for example, vCenter. And within that control plane, then you're able to go down and manage everything inside Simplivity. And the way it's laid out is you can get into a one-click resumption capability. So going back and doing like an RTO function within Simplivity, which is what Mark was alluding to on the ransomware recovery capabilities. So 3 clicks and you're in and you're up and running. We have single click upgrades, for example. So you could take these Simplivity clusters and say, click, boom, do the upgrades. The system will go and manage all that on its own, and you're good to go. Geo clusters, so the ability to say, I've got instances of Simplivity here, 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 and here. We can tie them all together and get a federated view of that as well. So Chris, specifically from a management and control layer perspective, Simplivity certainly has a really clean, clear way of managing things. And unlike some of the other HCI solutions out there, it doesn't require an additional tier of management in order to have the oversight and the care and feeding on that Simplivity infrastructure. It's simply embedded in the existing processes and procedures. And I kind of alluded to that in my when we started things off as well. But certainly Simplivity makes it really easy to own and operate this platform. Absolutely.
Yeah, those are all excellent points. And I'll open it up to Mark if you wanted to add anything to that.
Yeah, and it all comes back to business outcomes and dealing with those pain points that customers keep telling us about. And the way we do that with Simplivity is through simplicity and efficiency. They're really key here. Simplivity delivers a platform that takes the complexity out of managing all of your infrastructure stacks, and it's built on the most secure server platform in the world, the ProLiant platform. And I don't think you can forget about that, because that's, we just take it for granted, but that's an important point here. Also flexibility of Simplivity to scale to meet the demands of business without adding to the management burden. It's a breath of fresh air for our clients, and the ones that have it love it.
It's true. It's true. Well, thank you, gentlemen. As we talk about this, we've been talking about Simplivity, HPE, Powerland. We all know HPE is a leading manufacturer and is driving innovation for a safe, secure digital world. And HPE, Powerland, we believe in helping our customers overcome challenges, positioning our customers for success. There's a vast portfolio that we can draw from. Simplivity is just one of those components, and we can layer on various other components. As Garth alluded to, Store Once from a backup perspective, HPE Cloud Volumes, and of course there's the HPE Complete program where we can bring in other products as well. So great. Thank you again, Garth and Mark, for joining us today. And if you have any questions for the team, please email marketing@powerland.ca, and together with our HPE team, we'll set up a virtual session for you and assist you and answer all your questions. Thanks again. Take care.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Mark.